Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you for joining today's webinar hosted by the Sikh Research Institute. My name is Manvinder Kaur. This live class will be starting shortly.
Welcome to the webinar. It'll be commencing shortly. For now, we'd like to give you a rundown on how to participate in this session. If you lose your internet connection or have to restart your computer, you can rejoin the session using the URL that was sent to you in your registration email. To have a smooth experience while tuning in, we recommend using Google Chrome if you're using an internet browser. If at any point you feel that the presentation is too quiet, try one of the following tips to resolve the issue. Each webinar is aimed to take questions from you, our audience. So let's take a look at how you can interact with our presenters. If you have a question you want to bring into the discussion, you can type it out in the questions panel. When you're ready, hit send and we'll be notified of your question. Once we receive your question, we'll do our best to integrate it into the conversation. Just note that though we do our best to hear from each of you, it may be a busy discussion, and we won't be able to get to everyone's questions. The Sikh Research Institute's mission is to provide educational resources to Sikhs to lead a Guru-inspired life. As a global, non-for-profit organization, we produce original online courses, research papers, videos, podcasts, events, and books to create the richest source of Sikh knowledge online. We hope you enjoyed this session, and if you would like to watch it again, or would like to show a friend the webinar, most of our sessions are recorded and put up on our YouTube channel. Most of our sessions are recorded and put up on our YouTube channel.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you for joining today's webinar hosted by the Sikh Research Institute. Today's class is a part of the live series, Anand Sahib, Way to Bliss. I would also like to inform everyone that this course will be shortened to 12 weeks as we've been able to cover the material at a much quicker rate than expected. Our last class on July 23rd will be an exclusive session for only those enrolled in the class with Sikhri's creative director, Inni Kaur. Through this session, Inni Kaur will share a special personal reflection on Anand Sahib, detailing her relationship to the bani, Sikhi as a lived experience. Today's class, as always, will begin with a 40-minute lecture, followed by 15 to 20 minutes for Q&A. So please drop your questions in the chat box and be sure to include your name and city. Also, as a reminder, our next class will have a dedicated longer amount of time to answer all of your questions. So if you could please drop any new and old questions, any questions from previous sessions that we weren't able to answer, if you could drop them into the chat box, I'll gladly note them down so we can address them next week. Now, on to introducing you back to our instructor, Surinder Pal Singh. Surinder Pal is a researcher in Sikh studies. He works at the Sikh Research Institute, where he develops curriculum, presentations, and research papers on Sikh history and culture. Please welcome Surinder Pal.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the 10th week of the online Anand Sahib course. This is the penultimate session. We'll have another session where we'll cover the last, we'll cover 35 through 38 already in this session, and then we'll cover 39th and 40th the next week. And then we'll spare some time to go through the learnings of the entire bani and try to connect the dots to see how bani is flowing and asking us to move towards the direction of feeling that ultimate bliss. And then we'll spare some time to also answer some of the questions that might have not been answered in the previous sessions. We'll compile those. You are welcome to ask other questions as well, although I would encourage you to send them in advance, because it just gives me time to think about that so that I can come up with better, more relevant examples and better answers. With that, we'll start today's session. But as is the custom, we'll do a recap of what we covered last week. We covered bodies from 31st to 34th, and 43rd. Hari Ras Meri Man Jara. That's the first one. It said that we trade in so many different things. There's a lag, so I'll pause for a moment. Okay. So it said that we trade in so many different things based on our priorities, which are most of the times grounded in ignorance, forgetfulness, or other love. And as a result of that, what we trade in mostly are temporary and transient things that are either inconsequential in the larger scheme of things, or they do not really help us in achieving the long-term life goals, which are the most essential things. We are not, the body basically is saying that we're not interested in creating assets, ras, that go with us or that stay with us all the time. Here mostly plate or trade in things that are mind things are important, but in reality there seems to be lag, which are mind things that are important, but in reality our life can still run or continue to move without them. Those are not the real things that should attract our focus, but the real things that should actually are, we are forgetful of those. We are not very aware of those things. We forget about those things. So, and the other thing is that the trade that Guru Sahib is asking us to engage in is not very capitalist in nature. You have to actually engage in it day in, day out, to keep it profitable or to keep it running or to keep it afloat. If you one of the examples that come to my mind is if you have been to South Asia, Indian, you'll notice that if you've noticed shopkeepers there, they will never leave their shops for too long. They will always keep them open, and and they keep them open till late night, and they mostly open them early in the mornings. especially if they are provisional stores that give you provisions. And they are specifically open on the weekends as well to make the most of their business. And some close on the weekdays. Sometimes some even don't even close on the weekdays. They just keep it open all the time. Suppose what they do is they'll either have a trustworthy person sitting in the shop, or they'll have one of the family members rotate so that shop doesn't close, but people can get their things done. The thing is that their primary focus is to you know stay profitable and to have the business running, family functions, relationships, everything else that is secondary to them. You'll notice that's how businesses are run. And the Guru says that what, we all do the same thing, one way or the other with things that are inconsequential. But when it comes to a Kalpurk, we lose our focus. We don't really deal or think about our relationship with Kalpurk in the same manner. We think it's something you can, you know, get by without even trying, or maybe you can by uh, create that relationship with just by playing certain tricks or shortcuts or certain formulas. So the point that Podi made was, what, we have to shift our focus and create a, our priorities, just like Vanjare do, the traders do. We'll have to trade in a Harinam or our relationship with the Kalpurk in a way that it's constant and it's strong. And one of the lines said, Har Har Nit Japaho, Jiho, perfect Hari, within with zeal every day, so that you could actually earn the profit. And that profit was daily based. The amount of work you or effort you put in, that's what you get out of it. We will have to, basically trade in it daily. That is the sign of true love. We cannot continue to engage with a Kalpurk in token ways and then expect different results. ਜਿਵੇਂ ਆਸਾ ਕੀ ਵਾਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਬੀਜੈ ਬਿਖ ਮੰਗੈ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ, we expect different results despite having done something which is exactly the opposite of our expectation or what we should have done. And the message in it was that, just as you have to invest money and time to get a return, you have to invest in a relationship with the Guru, with the Kalpurk. And the way to do that is to engage with Gurbani daily. And that's how you earn that daily. In body 32, it basically addressed the tongue. So from there onwards, the body parts started, the essential ones through which you can engage with the Kalpurk. And it gave some advice. It said, it said that the problem is that you are tasting other tastes. You are in love of the other tastes, things that are not good for your body or your mind, food that gives you momentary pleasure or taste, or talks that are essentially gossips and slander nature. These are all, symptoms of, it basically shows that you are engaged in other love. Your focus is something else. As long as you continue to engage, in these things, your thirst and your anxiety, teri pyas na jaye, that will not go away. It will only go away if you change your focus. Just like you cannot feel, if you have to give an example that's related to tongue, if you continue to eat chili, your tongue will burn. So in order to feel better, you'll have to stop eating chili, and then in place of that, you'll have to drink something which is cold and probably even sweet. And that is how you get rid of that, burning sensation on your tongue. And that cold and sweet thing, which will kill the thirst and burning sensation of, your anxieties or cravings of mind is Qurbani. And that chili is other love. So you'll have to first give up other love, that engagement, unless you give that. So the thing will be, you'll eat chili and then you'll drink milk or sweet milk, then eat more chili and more. So that burning sensation wouldn't go as long as you continue to eat chili. So you'll have to give up that other love, that engagement, and then partake Gurbani. And that's how तेरी ਜਿਹੜੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਪਿਆਸ ਹੈ, your thirst or your anxiety, will die. So eating or engaging more in the same kind of things in the context of tongue, which is true for other things as well, which are basically the root cause of your troubles in the first place, will only aggravate. The more you engage with those things, the more you will move away, more your pain will increase. So we have to break this vicious cycle of engaging in the same habits, again and again. And most of these habits concern with our, sensory organs, organs with which we engage with the world around us, seeing, smelling, touching, tasting, eating, hearing, all those things. That's why these critical body parts, sensory organs, have been addressed. The point is, engage them in a way that help fulfill your essential life goals. 4033 covered, it turned the attention to the human body. It said, "Ye sarira mereya, har tum mein jyot rakhi, ratu jag mein aaya." Oh, my body, the divine has placed the light in you, Joe. That is when you came into this world. And then the next line I'd mentioned that how Akal Purkh is the real mother and father who gave us this life and showed us this world. But the tricky part is that one who gave us life, Jinju Pai Jagat Dikhaya, who revealed the word to us, but that giver, that Akal Purkh also has created Maya. This word around us is essentially a manifestation of Maya, those three qualities of Maya. So as soon as we came into this world by virtue of Akal Purkh giving us that life, that live, which that connection which we had in the womb of the mother was broken, and the other love took over. But the body then said that Guru Prasad Di Puja, by the grace, when this thing was understood by the person on whom the grace fell, ta chalat hua chalt nadri aaya. Then the word play, which is manifest, is basically recognized for what it is in the grace of the Guru's wisdom. And the effect of Maya becomes apparent to that person. Then one engages with Guru wisdom and comes to the realization that it is merely a play put forth by Ekonkara. Then they slowly pull away from engaging in worldly tastes or keeping, and then they engage their sensory organs or their senses or themselves into things that are meaningful or that will actually help them, achieve the real goal of life. Lastly, in Pauri 34, uh, let's slightly give a glimpse into the state of mind of a person. If that person, imbibes Guru's wisdom and understands, then that person starts to walk on the instructions of the Guru. And it basically gave a glimpse of what that bliss feels like once that person starts, acting upon the Guru's wisdom. The line said, "Man chao pya prab agam sunya." Har mangal gao, sakhi greh bandar punya. Har man chao pya. The mind was joyous. Prab agam sunya, when it heard or noticed the signs of the arrival of the master. And then the next line took a leaf from the marriage ceremony in the South Asia. It said, "Har mangal gao sakhi grah mandir banya." That, oh girlfriends, sing songs of praise of the Hari, the remover of suffering, as an anticipation of my, approaching husband. This house has essentially turned into temple. All this is a symbolism for the body, and the body which is ecstatic in experiencing the presence of Ekankar in life. And it directly tied to the previous body that implored the body to be mindful of its real purpose. And then the later part of the body informed us, body 34, that singing mangals of the Hari keeps us away from sorrow. And we are basically discussing bliss. So keeping that idea in the context, it's just telling us what are the things that push us towards pain and sorrow and suffering. and what are the things that take us away towards bliss and happiness. So when we engaged in Mangal Gauna, singing of praises of the divine, so then the sufferings did not touch us. And the specific instrument that helped us stay away from that sog and dukh is Gur Sabad Jani. Gur Sabad, which opens the window to Anhat Bani. Anhat Bani, Gur Sabad Jani. That unstruck, untold, unsaid glory of the divine, which is pervading in the cosmos, uh, as Sabad wisdom, that was revealed to us once we engaged with the Guru's Sabad. That's how we Jani understood or realized the mystery of this world, and that is how we slowly, move towards bliss. So with that, we move to first body of today's session, which is body 35. It starts with a momentary lag here. Okay, so it says, "ये शरीरा मेरिया इस जग में है आए क्या तू कर्म कमाया." Now in body 35, attention turns back to the body, keeping in context the ideal state, which was basically depicted in the previous body, which we just covered. The narrative is picked from the body even before that, which started discussing the human body. So that and the previous one. And then this basically contextualizes both. And it says, "E sarira meria, oh my body, uh, after having come to this world, is jag mein aaye kya? Is jag mein aaye kya? Having come, having arrived into this world, kya tud karam kamaya? What deed, what karam, kya karam tud kamaya? You earned. What did you accomplish ever since you opened your eyes to this world, and the idea, that same idea of the body, live chudki, when your connection was broken, once you arrived into this world, when you came out of the womb of your mother, where you had a constant connection with the Akal Purkh. So what did you accomplish once you came into arrived into this world? That's a question being put. That's a question so that one may reflect. It's a simple question to encourage us to reflect on what the true purpose of life was, and what we, in contrast to that, what we ended up doing with it. Did we do anything that justifies the purpose of our existence, uh, with the absolute standard in mind, not the daily standards of attending to the most immediate and the most pressing tasks of the day, the kind of questions that self-development folks these days ask, like the urgent versus the important. Are you most of the times engaged in attending to the urgent things in life, or are you also paying attention to the important things in life which might not be that urgent? So for instance, things like dropping off kids to the school, shopping grocery, or attending to certain marriage functions. Well, they are important duties that we need to uh, fulfill. But they will also, we have to keep in mind that they will also keep coming as long as we are alive. But in all this, we have forgotten the real thing, which lies at the center of our existence. Have we forgotten that we have to die one day? Marana mano visare. That we forget that, and then the same cycle of same urgent things, or same attitude of pushing the most important or critical things in life for tomorrow. How long can we really continue doing that? Because for there will be no opportunity to be free or mukt, for we could not have become free. Only the only way we could have become free is through engagement with Gurbani, and that can happen only if while we are alive. So if we just pass our time in engaging in other love without really developing a connection with Gurbani, how do we expect to become free or liberated after death? For in Sikhi, freedom or liberation is only while we are alive. There is no freedom after death. So, keeping that in mind, it moves. And the second line it asks, Ki karma kamaya tudu sarira. What deeds? And emphasis, same pattern following pretty much in the entire bani. Ki karams, again asking the same question in passive voice. What deed has been earned, O body, to justify your existence? Jatu jag mein hai, ever since you came into this world. The Guru says, in case you are not able to identify the real purpose of life for yourself, then let me help you with that and be more explicit with it. Jin hari tera rachan rache, the next line. The one who lies at the uh, lies at the core of your existence, who is the source of your life, who created you. Jin tera rachan rache, who created you, who did your creation. So rachya, so hari manana vasaya. You did not enshrine that Akal book in your mind. You do not live life in awareness of your origin. You do not see Akal book in everything and everywhere. And in case you have been thinking of it, but you have not been successful so far, let me again remind you uh, of the solution. And and the solution is in the next line: fall flat at the feet of the Guru and act as the Guru guides. And then maybe Gur Prasadi Hari Mani Vasya, by the Guru's grace, you are able to connect with the divine. Hari Man Vasya, Hari, the divine, may come to dwell in your heart by the Guru's grace if you engage. Purab likhya paya, and the grace from the origin may fall on you. May. So, Kaha Nanak, eh sarir parwan hua, says Nanak, there is only one criteria for this body to be, considered uh, acceptable or successful, and that criteria is uh, Kaha Nanak, eh sarir parwan hua, Jin Satigur Syon Chitlaya, developing love. And that criteria is Jini Satigur Syon Chitlaya, developing love for the Guru's body. That is only the way your body will find true purpose of life and have the strength, not just realize that, but also have the strength through the grace to walk on it and be, successful. So basically, the entire body nudges us to ask the most pressing questions about life and gauge our life against that standard which the Guru has, established for us. And if we are not moving towards our goal of the ultimate freedom or liberation we talk about, or that goal of constant, unabated connection uh, that brings, happiness or bliss, then we are encouraged to, sort of correct the course. And the way to do that is basically to submit to the Guru. There's no other way. Once we do that, once we develop a relationship with the Guru, we start walking on that path, and that's how we move towards the ultimate spiritual bliss. Okay, so in Pauri 36, the Bani moves to the eyes. So there was Pauri on Bani, then it's on how, when the body started working on or walking on the Guru's instructions, there were signs of bliss, of the arrival of divine coming to dwell, which is within us. But we started realizing that, and that realization, engagement brought bliss. And then the next body again came back to bani, to the body, to further that idea. Now the focus has moved to the eyes. So here, word netra has been used, the second word, but other common terms for the eyes are one may is nan, and the more common Punjabi, which is Punjabi common term that's used even these days, is ak. These are the two other terms used for eyes in addition to netra. Okay, so the body says, "E netra ho mere ho, oh my eyes, har tum mein hai jyot tari." Hari has placed the light in you. Every organ, everything, the Hari has placed. The Hari has placed the light. Know who's what is the force behind everything that's moving, that's happening around you. Point is, the divine is the cause and the effect of everything. You shouldn't forget that. And it's the grace that moves things in the right direction. हर बिन अवरु न देखो कोई ओ ने ए नेत्रो मेरे हो हर तुम्हें ज्योतिरी realize that the divine has placed light in you. Your ability to see depends is because of the divine grace, because the divine has given you the ability to see. हर बिन अवर न देखो कोई, and so consequently do not look at anything other than the divine. So the literally this line sees a little implausible, but essentially it's saying that it's more figurative in nature, that the divine is everywhere. There's nothing that is not divine. Wear the glasses of the Guru's wisdom, and when you look around through those glasses, recognize everything as divine. Do not look at anything as different, as separate or other. That's a symptom of ego, of maya. So do not look at things as different and separate. Search for the divine in everyone. Develop a perspective or worldview of oneness when you look through the eyes gifted by a Purukh, and when you see everything as divine, that's when you don't think that there are two axes in this world, there are different powers or forces working at the same time. When you know that there's only one force that's making everything happen, either uh, okay, so either an entity is working in forgetfulness or ignorance, or the entity is working in awareness. That's the only thing. But the force behind everything that's happening or moving is a kalpa. So it's the same advice that was given, to the tongue. If you could relate, "E netro mere har tumme jyotri," and just don't look at anything other than the divine. The idea is to see divine in everyone. Same thing was advised to the tongue. Don't taste anything other than the divine. The point is that sing divine praises and stay away from those engagements that bring disease and misery. For the tongue, it was food or gossip or slander. For eyes, it's to see ਉਹਦੇ good examples for ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਚ ਇੱਧਰ ਉੱਧਰ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਨੇ, what to see and what not to see. And this particular body explicitly tells us to see everything as a manifestation of the divine, see everyone as divine. हर बिन अवर ना देखो कोई, an emphasis. Eyes are asked to not look at anything other than the divine, or the way to put it is, the other way you can put it is to see the divine presence in everything. Nadri hari nihalya. Now, word nadar, has two meanings. While the literal meaning is sight, eye or sight, nazar, and its verb form is to see, but its other meaning is grace as well, as an extension of sight, as we say, glance of grace. And this phrase appears quite a bit in Gurbani. So now in these lines, both meanings, fit well. Since the body is about eye and sight, one is tempted to believe it means sight, but I think it's more figurative in nature, and it's grace here. We have to look at the pauri in the light of the larger narrative and how the word has been used in the previous pauris. And we notice that the idea of grace is overwhelmingly strong in this particular bani. Plus, Akal Purkh is not to be seen as an individual or as a form, but the point is that if we develop that perspective of oneness, then through the grace, Nadri, Har Nihalya, we are able to see Hari everywhere, not just intellectually, but we are able to feel Hari's presence everywhere. We are able to see that it's not people who are doing things, it's the Hari in the background that's running the show. And that's a perspective that we can only develop once we have that connection, when we have had, when we have developed that love-based relationship. ਇਹ ਵੇ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਤੁਮ ਦੇਖਦੇ, this whole world which you see, ਇਹ ਹਰ का रूप is the image of the divine. Hari Roop Nadriyaya, only the divine form can be seen. Nadriyaya can be seen. Nadar again, same word. Here it looks more like seen, literal. Only through the grace I am able to, see the divine, going by the interpretation I did in the previous line. Now again, word vis here, if you played in the third, second word in the third line, it has two meanings. It could have two meanings. Uh, it could be a derivative of Sanskrit vish, which means poison, or as Professor Sahib Singh puts it, it could be a variant of, there's another word, vishvu, which means, again, word. So now in the case of vish, which is poison, the line would read, this poison-like distracting word, which you see is actually the image of divine. I have been able to see the divine in it by the grace. This goes with the previous message that this word is essentially a manifestation of Maya, and it's equivalent to poison if we look at it in ignorance and forgetfulness. In the latter case, if we interpret this wish as sansar, as Professor Sahib Singh is doing, then you'll have two words, second and third in the line, consecutive words, which mean the same thing, which is also very possible because of the poetic nature of Gurbani, we actually notice at many places Gurbani uses same different words for which essentially mean the same thing together to emphasize an idea. So that possibility is there as well. So you have to, based on that, you'll have two interpretations: poison-like word, or this word, manifest word, which you are noticing or you can see. So that's the two ways you can interpret this line. Next, Guru Prasadi Budya, by the Guru's grace, I understood this fact or reality. Now what happened is, through by the grace of the Guru, that reality is now visible to me. Now what's happening as a result of that? When I see, wherever I see Hari Ik, wherever I look around through the glasses of Guru's wisdom, I only see Hari Ik. I only see one divine. Har bin avar na koi. Now I see no other except the, other than one Vahguru or Kalpurk or Eka Onkar. I don't see anyone else. I've lost that duality in my mind and in my sight because of the 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 kohol of wisdom that I put in my eyes, or the glasses of wisdom that I put. And then Kaha Nanak, says Nanak, and say, these eyes were like blind before, earlier. What happened? Satguru miliye, as a consequence of meeting the Guru, as a consequence of inviting Guru's wisdom in life, they received divya drisht. Div comes from divya, it means divine. Their sight became divine. Divya drishti, their sight, their their vision became divine in nature. And when I put the glasses, my everything, my perspective, my worldview, everything changed. And these eyes, which were previously blind, became divine in nature, or their sight became divine. Now my entire worldview has. That's what Guru's wisdom does to you. There's a transformation entirely. So, what is the one, you know, overwhelming message of this book? It's essentially the body is essentially asking us to develop a perspective in which we start to, recognize the entire creation as an image of Ikonga. Once that happens, maybe we will, be able to develop that viewpoint where no one is a stranger to us, no one is an enemy to us. We see the divine in everyone, Na ko bari nahi begana, sagal sangam ko bhi nahi. So what happens then when you have put that glass on, that coal in your eyes, and you are at a stage where everything is divine to you? Then you're not reacting in nature. Then there's no enemy, there's no hatred, there's no scheming. We don't. There's no anxiety, there's no fear. We are no more reactive in nature. We become proactive, and we become proactive in and act as per the Guru's wisdom. And these are the very basis of suffering: anxiety, hatred, scheming, fear, ignorance. And when that is gone, once the Guru's wisdom has dawned on us, then ultimately bliss starts to manifest in us, which is already there because of divine origin of our existence. And then that starts manifesting once we start seeing divine element. So that's something which happens only if we we put the divine perspective in our eyes, in our mind, in our consciousness. So Guru is the key central for this thing to happen. With that, we move on to body 37. It moves on to from body to eyes to now ears. It says, "E Sravana ho mere ho, oh my ears, Sravan." Now, other word for Sravan used in Bani is Kan, and its variant Karan. I am not sure how many times it's used, but Karan is essentially found in Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib's Bani. It's essentially a variant. Jehva Gun Gobind Pajo, Karan Suno Harinam. So, Sravan and Kan, two major forms of ear. Excuse me. So what does it say? It says, "E Sravanaho mere ho, oh my ears, sacha sunne no pathai." The true has pathai, sent to hear. Then the question rises, what? Sacha sunne no pathai, second line. The true has sent to hear. Sarir lai, having attached you, the ears, to the body. Suno. Now what do you have to hear? Sunahu sativani. So now the second line explicitly mentions what to hear. Listen to the true eternal utterance, implying the Guru's Bani. That's what you came on this earth to hear. That's what you were sent to do. That's your primary goal. So that's the lesson. That's an instruction for the ears. Chitta suni, listening to which, having listened to which, manutanu, the body and the mind, haraya hua. Haraya is to turning, anything that turns green became green. The idea is listening to which your body and mind became alive, were reinvigorated, were rejuvenated. Rasana rasmani, and speaking which, the same thing, listen to the same thing, speaking of which makes you alive and rejuvenated, and which, when spoken through the tongue, you know, it basically drenches the tongue in the sweet taste of divine praise. That ras, Listen to that. The next line says, such the divine, the true divine, is alak, unseen. We covered this earlier, or unperceivable, sorry. Unperceivable, and who is Vidani, wondrous. Now, word Vidani, has multiple meanings. It could mean show, wonder, imitation, gossip, deceiving. It's a very dynamic word. It's used in so many different ways. In this context, it seems to mean wonder. That the Akal Purkh, which is an embodiment of truth, eternal one, is unperceivable and wondrous. Taki gati kahi na jaye. The state or the stature of Akal Purkh, whose eternal cannot be described. We covered in one of the previous body the idea of Akat, one who the line said, Akath ki kare kahani. Let's try to describe or narrate the stories of the indescribable. So this line is sort of reminding us that we have limitations in terms of how many praises we can sing of the divine, and how many praises we can you know in the context of the current body we can hear of a kalpa, but nevertheless we need to engage in it, just like the akat katha, which cannot be really described. Taki gat kahi na jaye. The such alak abhinani, taki the indescribable, the unperceivable Akal Purkh, whose state cannot be described, engage in the rasana rasamani, engage in listening to the praises of that thing. Speaking of which, the divine tastes develops on your tongue as well. Kaha Nanak, Amrit Naam Suno, says Nanak, listen to the Amrit. Amrit is, translated or interpreted in so many different ways. One is nectar, which is essentially coming from uh, it's a botanical term, basically coming from the sap or what you have in the flowers. And the other word is used, ambrosial nectar, which is coming from the Greek tradition. So these are two words used, but I don't. It has its own baggage, and I don't think we need to be dealing with those. Amrit, simply put, is sometimes it's used as a noun, where it means Nam itself or the divine being itself. When it's used as an adjective, in this case, as it says, it qualifies Nam here. Amrit Nam, Nam which is Amrit. In this case, it simply means immortal. That immortal Nam, everlasting, eternal Nam, Kaha Nanak, Amrit Nam, immortal Nam, Suno. Listen to the immortal Nam through the Guru's Sabad. How do you listen to? Guru gave this Nam. Only Guru bestowed Nam, Gurbani tells us. So how do you listen to Nam? Through the Guru's Sabad, through these ears. And the context is the ears in this particular body. Pavitra ho. And thus, listening to the immortal Nam, which is essentially the Guru's Bani, thus, pavitra ho, become pure or virtuous. That's your criteria of becoming pure. Listening to Nam, become virtuous, sacha sunana pathai, because that is what you were sent for. Your original purpose was to listen to divine praise. So always remember that, which is why you are asked to, you're nudged, you're suggested, you're implored to, you know, sing the divine praises, because your essential purpose was to listen to the divine praises. Sacha sunana pathai. So the body clearly defines for the ears, what to hear. Uh, the intent was to hear the true utterance, the Naam, but it is stuck. The ears are stuck in stuff that leads to the other love, like tongue does slandering and gossips. Here, ear does, what does ears do? What does ear do? Ear basically listens to that gossip that's coming from the tongue, the gossips and the slander. It urges an individual to, develop a taste for Gurbani and always keep it on the tongue. Rasana Rasamani, uh, in the same body. So with this, we move on to the last body for today. In body 38, the Guru, continues on the larger theme of what is the purpose of life and this body. And now, without addressing any particular body part, it says, har jiv as a body as a whole. It says, har jiv gupha andari rakh hai. You will notice the language in the body is figurative. A lot of terms from the Hindu tradition have been, borrowed here. Har jiv gupha andar rakh hai, vaja pavanu vajaya. Har jiv, the divine, the respected divine, the revered divine jiv, gufa andar rakh hai, having placed, sorry, the divine having placed the jiv, the life, having placed inside the cave-like body. Gufa is cave. Here it's symbolic of the body. So what did Hari did? The divine do? It placed Jio, the life, in the body cave. Andar rakh hai, having placed the life Jio in the gufa, body-like cave, Vaja paman bajaya, blew or played the instrument. Vaja is the air instrument we play, musical instrument. So it says that what does it do essentially? It uses air to pump and produce certain notes based on which key you are pressing. Yeah. The point is that Vaja that cycle of breath was started in us by placing the breath in the cave-like body, and that air instrument, started playing on its own. It's a continuation of the theme, built around the human body from the previous bodies. Here, uh, so Geo is life, and Vaja pound the Vaja, the air of the Vaja of the cycle of air, is essentially referring to the breath. So, in simple terms, the line is saying that the divine gave the body, the life, Geo, and breath, pound the Vaja. Gave three things. Vaja, Vajaya Vaja, by blowing the air instrument, नौ द्वारे प्रगट किए, 9 doors were revealed, and then Daswaं Gupt Rakhaya, while the Daswaं, the 10th door was kept a secret. Now, what are the 10 doors and what is their significance? What is the line trying to say? Well, 10 doors refer to, sorry, the 9 doors refer to the 9 openings in the body, the mouth, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 anus, and 1 reproductory organs opening. Now the point is that with these are the organs or sensory organs or openings with which we, or the doors with which we engage with the world around us. We make sense of it, we learn from it, we feel it, we enjoy it. But these organs have their limitations because they are stuck, because their scope is this manifest world, which is essentially uh, a manifestation of Maya, 3 qualities of Maya, as we discussed. So they are meant to engage with that and make sense of it. And they have a purpose. And Guru Sahib basically tells us how to engage with these things, but they don't do it. But they are essentially still, because of their limitations, only can engage with this world, with this manifest word. So the divine being is beyond the scope of these organs, 9 organs, who cannot be known through these. So it is essentially the subject matter of the 10th faculty. It's basically a cultural reference to a state of mind which is described in the Indic culture as the Sandor. This is considered to be subtle and it's not physical and neither apparent, and it is called the 10th door. So when a person gains awareness because of the guidance of the Guru, the Guru's wisdom, the 10th door opens. The idea is the person is able to, there is a line actually in Gurbani which says, Moond liye darwaje, vajile chalong chaval, vajile anhad vaje. What happens is when these doors are open, we engage with the word, we try to extract pleasure from it. And what happens is there are so many examples of figurative language used there that deer enters the field and it basically destroys all the standing crop. Deer is symbolic of vices. When we engage with things, we seek pleasure from it. It brings in negativity in us. So the point is when a person to there's a disturbance. I'll wait for a couple of seconds. Okay, so by the Guru's grace, when a person is able to control these doors and keep them closed, basically trying to search within, reflect within, then what happens is the effect of Maya is gone, which is the word around us, the manifestation. And then the 10th door, which is inside us, opens. So what happens is when you are able to evade the effect of three qualities, it's the same paradigm. You move away from it and then you reach the fourth chautha pad, the ultimate spiritual experience, which in this case, in regards to the 10th door, 9 doors is called the 10th door. So what happens is moond liye, it says moond liye darwaje, and same terminology is used, anhad, again and again. Vajile, again, vaja, anhad vaje. The vaja of anhad, unstruck sound, starts playing within. That the idea that person is in a state of constant permanent bliss once they reach out within and they close all the doors, in a way sort of detach themselves from the worldly attractions. That's when the 10th door opens. So Gurdwara, but how does it really happen? It's basically described in the third line. Gurudwara. Again, this idea is coming for the second time, specifically through this term. But the idea of Guru's wisdom keeps coming, that it's only through the Guru, only through the Guru. But this specific term is coming for the second time. Gurudwara, through the Guru, Lai Pavni, the love of the divine was sown. Pavni comes from Pavna, which literally means feeling or emotion, and here it means the feeling of love. This is where the word Pao seems to have been developed from, which means love. So, Gurdwara, through the Guru, Laye Pavni, the love of the divine was sown, Ikna Daswan Dwar Dikhaya, and thus to some, not all of them, and only through the Guru's wisdom. It was only through the Guru's wisdom that some Daswan Dwar Dikhaya were shown the 10th door. And those are the ones who were able to successfully close the 9 doors and then dwell within, reach out within, reflect within, and by virtue of that, were able to become aware, enlightened. And that's how Vajile Anhadwaje, the bliss came to resound within. You know? And in this case, it says Gurdwara Lai Pavni, by virtue of or through the Guru's wisdom, when I I reposed my faith, my love in Akal Purukh, or the one who did in the context of the line, who through the Guru's grace reposed faith or developed love with Akal Purukh, those were shown the Daswan war, the real way to reach that subtle, not physical state of being, the ultimate spiritual state of being. Anek Roop, now what happens is the Anek Roop, that Akal Purukh has many forms. Now Navnit, 9 treasured Naam, Tisda Ant Na Jai Paya. Extent of that is not known. Now, this fourth line uh, is in context of the previous line, which states that through the Guru, 10th door was open. Now, which is essentially a connection with Nam, and that state is beyond description. It says basically that that state, once you reach that state because of engaging with the Guru's wisdom, what happens? The anek roop, the Akal Purukh, the different forms of Akal Purukh, then it's just like explaining the inner state, what's happening there. That, you know, because of engaging with Naam, term Navnidhi here appears in this line. So let's, figure that out first. Nav comes from 9, and uh, Nidhi literally means treasure. So in Hindu tradition, there is a belief that there are, 9 ultimate priceless treasures worth owning, which are in the possession of a god called Kuber, who is the treasurer of a group of godheads. In the yogic tradition, it is believed that if you achieve the peak of yogic goal, you can get those 9 treasures along with a host of so many uh, supernatural powers. 18 siddhiyan जिन्हें कहते हैं, 18 supernatural major supernatural powers. So you get those powers and these 9 treasures if you reach that ultimate state of spiritual enlightenment. So it says that the point is that Nam basically is essentially supreme. It is beyond everything. Nam is the source of all those so-called powers and treasures. And the line reads, Tah anek roop now navnid tisda ant na jai paya. That the extent of the 9 treasured Nam with myriad forms cannot be known, but it is something that you connect to or experience, which is essentially a reflection of the 10th door opening, and it happens only in the Guru's idea. And last line says, Kaha Nanak, says Nanak, Hari Pyara, the beloved Hari, placing or having placed the being Jew under rakhe, Jew under having placed life in the gufa, body cave, Vaja Paunja. That's how the Guru Akal Purukh started, blew this instrument of breath, of cycle of breath in you, and so recognize that this cycle has been started, and that's how you came into being. That's how you engaged. Ultimately, open your eyes. Your live should be your connection broke. You started engaging with Maya through the 9 doors. But when the Guru's grace happened, you learned that wisdom entered your mind and heart. You learned how to control the doors, and you successfully closed them to keep the deers of voices out, so that the crop of divine love wasn't destroyed inside. And that's how you were able to dwell within, reflect, and then open the. And this all happened in the grace. And the last line basically reminds you of your ultimate purpose of life, which is to connect with your soul, who has essentially placed that you, that life, that light, that flame within you, within your cave body, and started the cycle of air, like you know, cycle of breath, the vaja, the air instrument. So the lesson is the takeaway is that this life and body are precious, and some people in their ignorance are not able to see the game of Maya at play, and they continue to engage with these 3 qualities of Maya, that is the world around us, through 10 doors, our sensory organs, and then but then there are some people who the chalat hua chalat indriya in the previous podis, it said that some people in the Guru's grace are able to understand the game at play, and they essentially, in the context of this line, are able to close the 9 doors, and then they are able to realize the the divine. The idea is people who are aware of their purpose, who engage with Guru Bani's wisdom, are able to navigate through the distractions of life. The idea of the shopkeeper, the Vanjara trading came, how traders effectively engage in trade, the same idea. that we need to learn to evade the distractions of life. There are things that you have to do on a daily basis, but that shouldn't keep you from engaging or doing what's the most important thing in life. And if by the Guru's grace you are able to do that, that's when the 9 doors close and the 10th door opens. And that's a sign of essentially, unabated, continuous, everlasting bliss. With that, we are moving towards the closure of the bani. There are 2 more pauris left, and then we'll see how this bani essentially closes this idea and informs us what is the true way to achieve this bliss and retain this bliss. With that, we'll finish today's lecture. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Any question? Do you want to take a question?
Thank you, Surendrapal. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. We've actually gone over time. So I have noted
Okay.
all of the questions that were asked. So I'm happy to pass those along to you and everyone who has asked a question. I have noted it down and they will be answered in next week's class. So I will just be closing up today. Thank you so much, both to Surendrapal and all of the participants again, for tuning in and for engaging, asking questions. Please tune in next week for the 11th week of this live course. We are also hosting bi-weekly live webinars. Our next webinar is on July 19th. It's titled Bhakti and Shakti, where we explore questions such as what are the modern applications of these fluid concepts? How do we maintain a true connection to all the strength, internal and external, that Sikhi affords us? Join us in conversation with historians and academics Dr. Jaspreet Bal, Baneet Singh, and Harleen Kaur as we look at the theory and application of the concept in our modern journeys. And lastly, don't forget to tune into the Sikhcast, a podcast produced by Sikri where we explore the various issues and events affecting Sikhs worldwide. Thank you for joining in. Today's live class will be ending now. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.